Hey, good afternoon, everybody. On this Tuesday, July 8th, 2025, I've got all of your stories for your rush hour ride home. Summer is heating up, and we've got a lot of drama out there, both in pop culture and politics. Here's what we'll talk about today. Jax Taylor discusses the moment he knew his marriage was over. My guess is fans aren't going to believe him, but we'll share that clip. And then more on Laura Owens, as the court is now seeking her fingerprints. Will they find a fingerprint on a fake belly bump? We'll have to see. And then the term affair has been searched and requested by Ryan Reynolds. But why? I'll share the bombshell reporting from Without a Crystal Ball's Katie as she breaks down jealous husbands. That's really the theme of this episode, is jealous husbands. Looking at you, Jax. And then we'll talk about the LA raid as the military says we're not going anywhere anytime soon. It's absolutely wild. But the big story we'll get into is the Epstein fallout, as we have Pam Bondi and Donald Trump responding. He scolds a reporter and says, why the hell do you keep on asking about Epstein? And the answer is, well, because it's kind of the biggest conspiracy in the world right now, and we want to know if our leaders are monsters. I think that's fair, right? We got all these stories and more. It all starts right now on The Rush. Well, not much to say about last night's episode of Paradise other than I thought it was interesting, but the more interesting part of the episode was the end of the episode preview for what's to come. And Wells Adams, bartender of Bachelor in Paradise, said there are some things that I'll just never be able to unsee. And that is referencing the age gap makeout that happened. Now, listen, I don't know the circumstances of the age gap makeout, but you got people in their 20s and 30s canoodling with people in their 50s and 60s. Hey, you might do a body shot, have a few drinks, make eye contact. I have no idea, but talk about a teaser to get people hooked on the season. I'm not here to shame if people want to make out from different generations consensually. Do what the hell you want. I will react when it happens and let you know, was it tasteful? Was it a tasteful age gap makeout? Or, who knows? So more on that to come. But the big story we've been covering for the better part of the last 75 years is Laura Owens. As you guys know, yesterday, the bombshell mugshot drop happened as Laura Owens, who I gave her all the credit in the world. I thought she looked pretty good. I mean, could you use this mugshot for a dating profile? Let me just say this. Men are a funny batch. And I'm telling you right now, if you have a mugshot profile photo, men will still swipe right on you. They'll be like, well, let's just see what this is all about. So you might have luck out there after all, Laura. Well, her former attorney, the one she really never paid, David Gingras, was tweeting about her and then deleted the tweet. But this was compiled by Justice for Clayton official, who, congrats, I think they just hit 6,000 followers, or maybe not. The Reddit's got, everyone's following. I don't know who it is, but continue to follow and put light on the story. But he's talking to people online still. Like, the guy can't shut up. He said, my client Laura from the paternity case, as if he's got so many. I've got so many cases. I've got binders full of cases. It's like, sure, bro, you seem like your main hobbies are walking the dog and, talking online for free about your client. Her mugshot was released, and then he said, well, Trump was charged and convicted of felonies, and he's a free man. Yeah, but I don't think Laura Owens has the, judicial system on her side right now. In fact, she's got Rachel Mitchell, county prosecutor, who is not putting up with her BS. So either way, yeah, here was the post. I wanted to thank them. Checking on the T, since they have 7,000 followers. Congrats to Justice for Clayton official on 7,000 followers. Let me tell you something. If and when this thing becomes a full-fledged Netflix documentary, you're going to have a lot more followers than that. Because people have a thirst and an appetite for this. They want to know more about it. So here's the interesting update. The state was granted the right to take Laura's fingerprints for evidence at the upcoming 7/11 hearing. I will not be at this hearing, but if anybody, because this hearing's happening, is this happening Friday? So if anybody wants to attend the hearing and phone into the podcast, I'd love to know if anyone will be there. Again, don't go out of your way, but if you happen to want to, I'm sure they have good air conditioning there at Scottsdale in the summer. But will they get Laura's fingerprints, or will she try to file them off? We'll have to see. Why do they want her fingerprints? Well, clearly they have fingerprints of something and they want to match it up. Is it ultrasound photos? Is it a HCG vial that they found in the casita dumpster? I've got no idea, but we'll have more on that story as it comes. But great questions. Oh, and they had a survey. Do we think the fingerprints are on the moon bump, the HCG syringe, a weapon, or burritos? How about all four? I mean, who knows? Live your life. Well, Jax Taylor's living his life. He blames the Britney breakup on a hookup with his friend. Okay, so they were on like a break, doing the break thing, and his wife, Brittany, hooked up with his quote-unquote friend. Now, clearly they were already broken up. He's in rehab. The guy's coked out of his mind. He's got rage issues. He's doing all this stuff. Well, here's what he has to say about the incident where he threw a bar stool in front of his son. I mean, real horrible things you never want your baby to witness. Just so traumatic and really sad. Now, I hope he's getting better and is sober and all of that, but we'll have to see if he's taking any accountability. Have a listen.
He's obviously, he's going to hear about it one day. He was in the other room when I threw the bar stool and I threw the table, which is, again, if I could go back and change one thing in my life right now, that would be it. The way I handled that. It was anger. It was rage. It was the fact that I just...
And by the way, don't throw a table or don't throw anything in a fight, regardless of if you have a child in the other room.
I just couldn't deal with it. And again, the drugs and the alcohol, I saw red. I just saw red and I saw nothing else. And again, how could this be happening to me? I'm Jax Taylor. Why are you, like, the fact that it was my friend that she hooked. I think the main thing was, the reason I got so upset is because I know the guy. He was a friend of mine. It wasn't like, oh, it was just other guy, whatever. It was a friend of mine that she was sleeping with.
Now, by the way, I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for redemption. If he's sober, if he's actually having this conversation because he wants to address his internal rage, I'm all about it. Like, you still did all the things you did. I have no I know a lot of people have an issue with this. You notice online, if you try to break down why somebody did what they did, I have no issue with this. But if he wants to go on a podcast and say, I think this is what set me off, I was seeing red, it was my friend, that's not necessarily blaming his wife for what he did. That's just him explaining, like, this is what flared my limbic system to the point where I could no longer control my emotions, and I did that. You're still guilty of doing that. But again, me personally, maybe it's just the commentator in me. I love to hear people explain this. There'll be a large portion of people that say, go away, we never want to hear it. But again, if sometimes it's nice to see someone else work through their issues.
For months.
But weren't you sleeping around?
Not until I found that out.
Oh, and then you did it?
Yeah. I did it too, but I wasn't one of her friends. And again, as a guy, I was just like, I brought this guy into my circle. He was my friend. Okay. So there was a little, to me, it was a little like, who do I be mad at? Do I be mad at her? Do I be mad at him? Or do I be mad at my fucking self? And at the end of the day, now I can look back, I'm mad at myself. Why? Because I pushed her away into this guy. That's what I did.
Because we didn't.
Hey, but that's good, right? He said, I'm mad at me. Now, the title of this, he blames Britney breakup on hookup with his friend. Well, here we see Jax taking some accountability, saying, I pushed my wife, because whenever there's an affair, I mean, you can never control what someone else does, but you can look at yourself and go, wow, I was such a terrible person. My partner would have rather been with someone else versus me. I think that's fair to look at yourself as very four agreements of him to say, look, I can't control what someone else does, but what I can't control is, am I the best version of myself? No, you're coked out, you're rageful, and you get in this massive fight. Of course she's going to seek someone else for comfort.
We lost the people that we loved because we didn't put them first.
Right. And I can look back now, which I was so angry before. I couldn't even I couldn't even breathe. But now I can look back on it and I made peace with that. I made peace with that.
Do you want to know why we have to take viscerally, like in our soul, why we need to take responsibility for how we screwed up? Because if we don't, we're going to die alone.
Yeah, I know.
Whoa.
It's important for me to to have her think highly of me, the father of her child. It is important to me. And I'd be lying to tell you if it wasn't, if I'm not working hard for her to care about me again the way she used to.
All right, so here's where it stands. All right, as somebody who doesn't know either party, look, she thinks terribly of you. She doesn't believe you're going to stay sober. The best thing you can do, Jax Taylor, throughout time is prove her wrong. Therefore, you'll have a healthier relationship with the mother of your child, and she can move on and be happy and thriving. You can move on, and your son and anyone else in your life will be a lighter, happier person. Only time will tell. No amount of podcasts is going to change public perception, but I do wish him well because there are a lot of people's livelihoods and happiness on the line. Well, coming up next, we've got Blake Lively, and speaking of affair, is Ryan Reynolds afraid that she was bopping Baldoni on set? We'll have this for you next. Let's be real. No one likes calling their insurance provider to see if their medication is covered, especially not for GLP-1s like Ozempic or Wegovy. Ro's Insurance Checker lets you know if you're covered for GLP-1s for free. If you're eligible and want to see if you're covered, all you have to do is submit your insurance card and Ro will take care of the rest. No paperwork, no negotiating, no waiting on hold. Ro members have support throughout the process. You'll have access to your provider on demand for any questions. So join the over 350,000 people who've trusted Ro to check their coverage for free. Go to ro.co/rush hour for your free insurance check. That's ro.co/rush hour to see if your insurance covers GLP-1s for free. Go to ro.co/safety for black box warning and full safety information about GLP-1 medications. And now back to the show. Well, we know Blake Lively will be deposed next week. We already covered that. But what's very interesting is the continued beautiful reporting by Without a Crystal Ball. Her name's Katie. You can follow her on Instagram, YouTube. She does great work. She scours through, because I'm a commentator. I'm not really a journalist. Sometimes I unearth something. It stumbles into my lap or whatever. We break a fraud pregnancy scam. But in this case, I'm just kind of a commentator, and I'm happy to cover all of the great work that's going on. Blake Lively wants Wayfair parties, Justin Baldoni's side, to search for the word affair in their communications. Now, what exactly does this mean? Well, let me read her what she said. Ryan Reynolds seems to be exposing himself more and more for being behind this lawsuit. Why would Blake Lively ask Wayfair parties to search for the word affair? The search term was listed in a paragraph related to harassment and assault, along with breastfeeding, postpartum, and weight. Affair is on the last to second line, completely out of place. If Blake had an affair, she would know. But why would affair be a search topic? Could it be that Ryan Reynolds is paranoid of his wife cheating on him? Now, of course, there's the rumor that their relationship started on that same faulty bedrock as they were both in other relationships. And, they're actors. They're doing these, showmances where you're supposed to pretend to be in love with someone and then all of a sudden your body gets a couple feelings. Well, Justin Baldoni, the stud that he is, happily with his wife. Nobody believes that he cheated on his wife. He's very strong in his Baha'i convictions. But again, people do monstrous things. But at the same time, when Blake Lively wanted to see the dailies, we now know that Ryan Reynolds wanted to see the dailies. And did Ryan Reynolds see extraordinary chemistry between Blake and Justin Baldoni? I know I sure did. That scene on the roof where Baldoni grabs the chair and pulls her towards him. I mean, I hope I needed a cigarette after watching that. I thought their chemistry was through the roof. And maybe Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool, maybe over his prime, wasn't too happy with all of the abs that were coming out of the olive-skinned Baldoni. Well, here's the clip from Without a Crystal Ball on YouTube. You can go give her a listen, where she reads the interesting words that the Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively side wants searched in the communications.
A bullet point, the second to the bottom, there's a series of topics related to harassment, okay? And in it, it says firing or apology or apologize. Firing. Who is getting fired? Apology or apologize. Is that related to the claims against Ryan Reynolds? Firing, wouldn't that be him getting, who got fired? How would anyone get fired? They weren't sex, consent, kiss, lip, or assault. I thought they said that they never brought up the fact that there was sexual assault. Why are they discussing assault?
And it's kind of, to me, reads like a fishing expedition. They're just trying to see if any of these words, so it might just be that they're searching any words they can think of. Now, there were some accusations of lip biting where Baldoni bit Blake Lively's lip without consent. There was also accusations, I believe, on Popcorn Planet's channel where there were sources that said Blake might have had a cold sore. Again, this is all alleged. I don't have any of this information, but there were sources on set allegedly that said that she was trying to hide that. And again, what does that have to do with this lawsuit? I have no idea.
Touch, gaze, breastfeed, breastfed, breastfeed, childbirth, or nurse, or pregnant, or partum, like postpartum, right? Or genitalia, penis, or porn, nude or nudity, or naked, or intimate, or intimacy, or objectified, or defame, destroy, payback, or revenge, or cancel, or target, or discredit, or ruin, or abuser, or hurt, affair, bully.
Anyway, so you can hear it right there. So these are the words that they wanted to be searched, and hopefully maybe they would find in some of their discovery the use of these words. But again, is this Ryan Reynolds paranoia, or is this just them trying to search for any word that might pull up something interesting? I honestly have no idea, but I think when you couple this with, the sort of larger scope of, there's rumors of Ryan Reynolds with his previous relationship with Scarlett Johansson where he was jealous. And again, maybe that's projection because maybe he's hasn't been, as faithful on set to his partners. Again, no idea. But as you kind of cover and dive into this case, you try to see through their own legal strategies, what are they actually trying to do here? Obviously, as we've reported, Ryan Reynolds calling the shots with him and Blake Lively, but did he throw gasoline on this fire? Did he make it worse? Was he jealous of Blake Lively? And so then she had to say, oh no, Baldoni's coming on to me, it's nothing. And then did Ryan Reynolds take that as a way to, berate Baldoni? Again, there's a lot of questions, but I think it's very obvious to assume that jealousy plays a part in stuff like this because it leads you to not really think that rationally. All right, well, coming up next, we've got some more on the Epstein files and all of the drama surrounding the hypocrisies going on in our administration as people want the truth, and I guess the government thinks they can't handle it. That next.